Hi, this is Deborah Love, and I needed to take the time today to just come to you and speak directly from my heart. And I want to talk to you today about your black skin. There's always a lot of animosity, hate, negativity, and so many bad things against black skin. Now I'm gonna try to tell you this as quickly as I can, but you got to understand why there's all of this. When I kept trying to research and say, why do people hate black skin so much? Why? I could get a little bit of answer here, but I couldn't really get a lot. It wasn't until I asked the Lord, what is the purpose for black skin? Why did you make us with black skin? That's when I began to get the answers. Because in the words of the late, great Dr. Miles Monroe, when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. It won't necessarily be on purpose that you do it, but you will abuse it when you don't know what it's for. You will abuse it. And some people abuse it because they know what it's for. And ill-gotten gain or negative thoughts, they intentionally abuse it. Well, I'm going to tell you now what it is about. Describing, when you look up the word melanin, we know that melanin is what causes our skin to be this color. And when you look up the word melanin, almost every time you're going to see the word pigment involved in the description. Melanin is what gives your skin, hair, and eyes pigment. And that's the bulk of what you see about them. Describing melanin as pigment is like saying, defining shampoo as shampoo is a suds maker. Well, yes, shampoo does make suds, but that's not the purpose of shampoo. The purpose of shampoo is to clean your hair. So melanin does make your skin dark, but that's not the purpose of melanin. When man was created, whether you believe in creationism or evolution, when man was created, man automatically had the ability. First off, all living organisms that are able to produce, and I forgot the other things that they're from, bacteria, fungi, animals, birds, plants, all of them have a DNA. But your DNA is like the central processing unit in a computer. All the instructions and everything stems from that. That's our DNA. Our DNA is equipped it determines what we will look like, how your body grows, where your limbs and everything are. There's coding set up in there. There's protectants, things to do within your body to protect it. All of this is encoded in the DNA. And within the DNA is instructions for making melanin, for your body to produce melanin. And it produces this melanin. I say melanin is a super shield, because the ultimate purpose, not the only, the ultimate purpose of melanin is to protect the DNA. Now, the way as fearfully and wonderfully as the DNA is made in all living organisms, it needed to be protected. One of the primary things that could come against the DNA and cause harm is UV rays from the sun. So man had this super shield, this dark brown super shield to protect him from the sun. Everybody had it. It wasn't just black people had it and other people over here in this side of town, they didn't have it. No, everybody had this super shield. Now let me say about the DNA. I'm reading an article on healthline.com that says, what is DNA? And it says, why is protecting DNA important? DNA is pivotal to our growth, reproduction, and health. It contains the instructions necessary for your cells to produce proteins that affect many different processes and functions in your body. Because DNA is so important, damage or mutations can sometimes contribute to disease development. So you got to protect, it's got to be protected. You have spyware, malware, antiviruses, all these things you have within your computer to protect your computer. Man has the equivalent, and melanin is like malware, antivirus to the oomph degree within the body. Protect that box, protect the DNA. That's the primary job of melanin. But I repeat, not the only job of melanin. Now it says the DNA is prone to damage. According to estimates, tens of thousands of DNA damage events occur every day. I want to talk about the first DNA damage. Now mankind has this super shield to protect the DNA, so the UV rays couldn't get to them. There are other ways that your DNA can be damaged, and one of the ways, when I saw this, I had to go and check it out and see if that was legit. It is believed that what initially caused the DNA that caused the break, a mutation happened that affected the production of melanin. Now melanin, like baking a cake, you put the flour in there, you put eggs in there, I'm not a baker, you put some baking powder, different things in there. That's the recipe. Well, the recipe for making melanin within the body starts with something called tyrosine, and something happened initially that affected that getting into the mixing bowl. The process continued, but that little shake of salt or whatever did not happen. So babies were born without the ability to make melanin. They would be born with totally white hair, no brown in the eyes. The eyes would be like sometimes it would be a reddish looking color, it would be blue, it would be green, and that's because they're reflecting off different light. There's no melanin in the back of the eyes that gives the brown or black look of the eyes. So these babies were born without a super shield. Now once you have people being born without a super shield, nothing protects them from the UV rays. Now what I was going to say is what is believed to have caused that first mutation is incest. Look it up. Incest can cause oculocutaneous albinism. So you can just look up albinism. Incest can cause albinism. So it is believed that that may have been the first. But whatever it was, that super shield was broken. So you still had people with the super shield, the dark skin still being born, but then there are other babies with light skin. And you have all these people coming together. And what is believed, and that first let me say this, without a super shield and your skin is that light, the equatorial sun in the Middle East would fry you like bacon on a hot grease. If you look at people over in Africa now, albinos in Africa, it causes sores and things like that. It's interesting how they always talk about albinos and they only refer to them as basically the African albinos. There are various levels of albinos, and if you go online and look at the pictures of OCA1 is the one that's missing the tyrosine. There's one that's where you're missing something happened with the MC1R gene, which causes red hair. There's various genes, about 5 or 6 known genes involved that cause different kind of albinism. And if you look at them, I guarantee you they look like every white person you've ever met. I know OCA3, I believe, is the one that primarily affects. My dad had to have had some kind of deal like this. See, this is not us against them, it's all of us. My dad had the red hair. Another thing about it is bad eyesight. You know, you can't see me on here, but you can see my glasses in this picture. But a key distinction of that is a black person with very pale skin and the red hair. And my dad definitely had the red hair, very light, and he wore glasses. He had strong vision, strong glasses, I should say. But these are different things that are affecting. If you can tan, you produce melanin. Now, I may be looking at my picture. That picture has me looking a little light because I'm sitting in front of the window, a little lighter. But I would say I have about 3/4 tank of melanin. The next person may have, I don't know, a full tank of melanin where you are ebony colored. Somebody else may only have a 1/4 tank. If you can tan, you produce melanin. You have what people do now is they use sunscreen. Look at the videos. There's a video called How the Sun Sees Me. And it's so interesting to me that video, when people put on melanin and they show them under the UV light, they look as dark as me or darker. They definitely look like they have a full tank of melanin. Which tells me this synthetic melanin that man has produced helps white people look black to be presented before the sun. In order to be presented to the sun, you got to look like me. You got to look like me. You got to look darker than me. You got to have that super shield to go before the sun. Or there's a lot of problems if you don't have that super shield. Now, even people with, and I'm saying black and white because those are the terms we're used to, but again, there's no race. The race categories were started in the 1700s by slave owners, and it was an attempt to justify that the massa thought he was better than the black one. If you thought you were so good, why do you always take from the black people to use it? So it's a lot of manipulation going in, but I'm not going to go on that route. I'm going to stay here on this one because you need to be proud as hell of your black skin, of your melanin. Be very proud of it. I don't care if you are what we know as being white. If you can tan, you make melanin. And when I start to share with you guys on where melanin is in the body and what it does, you're going to embrace your melanin. You're going to embrace it. You put that melanin together, like meaning get all these melanin loaded people together and come together in whatever it is, because there is power in it. And all living organisms have it. All living organisms have it. Now let me tell you some more things about this melanin. I like this definition I saw of melanin. It said melanin is ubiquitous in living organisms across different biological kingdoms. I mean, all kinds from fungi to mankind. They have melanin. Its presence in nature, from microorganisms to higher animals and plants, is attributed to the many functions of melanin, including pigmentation, radical scavenging, radiation protection, and thermal regulation. What got me in this one is a description of melanin as being ubiquitous. And as always, I'm like, what the heck is ubiquitous? Ubiquitous is existing or being everywhere at the same time, constantly encountered, widespread. Other words for ubiquitous: omnipresent, pervasive, universal, all over, wall to wall. That's what melanin is in our body. That's what's happening with melanin in our body. Omnipresent is something that I've only ever heard being described of the Lord. So that breath of life that he breathes into us and what he put in us is in the melanin. So they're denying you. They're denying your skin color. They're denying the power of the Most High that's in us all. All of us had this dark loaded. All of us was 3/4 to full tank of melanin. Everybody. But in going off into different places and here's melanin melanin deficient people here going off into this area, these recessive genes became dominant genes, and they begin to carry on and multiply in others. There's so much more to be said on that, but I need you to get that. Get that. That's why there's so much hate for you and your quarter tank or more melanin. That's why, because they know the power. They know what you don't know about this melanin. And as long as there's a foot on your neck, you'll never exercise this. Get out in that sun. And it's okay to still wear sunscreen, even dark. You can still wear it. But get out in that melanin, I keep saying melanin. Get out in that sun and stir up that melanin. The Bible tells us to stir up the gift that is in us. People say that's spiritual gifts, but how do we know this isn't the melanin? Stir up this melanin. Stir it up in you. Think of people dark people who do a lot of things outside, that they excel so much. Like black people on track and field. You're out in the sun, you're feeding that melanin. That melanin makes you run faster, makes you do so many things faster. Melanin in the brain makes your brain sharper. Stir it up. White people, get out in that sun. Put your sunscreen on, but get out there and stir it up. I'm not saying to go out and not use your protection, but you gotta, especially you people with 3/4 and more. We're staying in the house and we're not stirring up that gift. We're not allowing melanin. Melanin has powers in it. I'm going to come on another time and tell you that melanin is the shizzle. They hate us. They don't hate us because we're black. They hate us because we have what they don't have. We have what makes us this dark. And science knows a lot about it. That's where you think I'm getting the information from. You have to dig for it because they don't make it like all these definitions tell you about a pigment. That's not the purpose of melanin. That's the effect, the result of melanin, the presence of melanin. My black skin is denoting the presence of melanin. I'm going to stop. There's so much more. I'll come again with you in another time, but just me and my studying this all the time and hearing how everybody wants to give Kyrie, I don't even know the man's last name because I'm not into sports. But don't underestimate what that man is saying. Don't underestimate it. I've been posting videos for quite a while talking about identity theft, talking about who the real Hebrews is. I'm going to say this and get out. How the hell do you lose 10 tribes of people? There were 12 tribes of Israel. The Jews that we know of are claiming affiliation to Judah and Benjamin. The other 12 are lost. There's no way pompous, arrogant people like the United States wouldn't make it their quest, like Europeans, period, wouldn't make it their quest to find those 10 tribes. The problem is, when they found those 10 tribes, they looked like me. So they're not trying to acknowledge that they found them because that would negate the fact that they're connected to the other two. Ashkenazi Jews. Ashkenazi is a descendant of Japheth, however you say his name, not of Shem. And Noah did not have a black man, white man, Chinese man. He three from the same genes. One was very dark, one was dark, and one was an albino. Noah was an albino. Read it in the book of Enoch. That's why they took that book out. Okay, I'm gonna stop. We'll talk again later. I love you. I appreciate you. Be proud of your melanin. Use your melanin. Whether you've been categorized as white, black, green, or orange, if you can tan, you produce melanin. Until the next time,